We're continuing talking about Borer, and now we're up to defining at least some of the... We're in the world of Borer.
Yes.
And now we need to define, we pointed out that if you're using an instrument,
yes,
a kli of Borer, that is certainly a problem.
What kind of instrument could there possibly be that separates the things?
Well, the truth is, I didn't ask you this in advance, but do you have a flour sifter?
Flour sifter, I do.
Okay.
I have no clue where it is.
Fine, we'll do that. But imagine a flour sifter.
Yes.
You have flour. You run it through a flour sifter with small little holes.
Yes.
A pasta colander.
Yes. I have one. I don't know where it is. There's tons of colanders in here.
Okay, it's fine. I think they get the idea. Ah, here you go. So you have one of these things. This is an instrument that is a Borer facilitator. It's meant for Borer. This is classic.
You put the pasta in, the water drains out.
Exactly. It's trained.
Broccoli in.
There you go. You have your flour sifter.
Yes.
Flour goes down, the junk stays on top.
Yes.
That is definitely an Isur Doraisa. Nothing to talk about. This is a kli for Borer, 100% exactly what we're talking about being problematic.
Wow. But, okay, I wasn't going to ask you this, but isn't sifting in itself also a prohibition?
Sifting is what we'll call Merake. It's part of the family of Borer.
Okay, wow. So avoid the sifting.
Correct.
Utensils.
Definitely avoid the sifting utensils.
I'll do it.
Okay, good. Now, you have some other utensils that you'd say to yourself, these are these really kalim of Borer? So let's talk about forks, spoons, and the like. Forks and spoons.
Fair enough.
Let's say, for example, you have a chunk.
Yes, I have a stew.
You have a what?
I have like a stew. Would you like me to
if you
bring
want,
it out?
that's fine.
I'll pour you out some.
Okay.
Okay. Listen, I cooked it for this occasion. May as well make the most of it.
Mm-hmm.
I got in here broth and veggies.
Okay.
Here we go. Okay. Broth and veggies.
So what about taking a fork? Let's say you have a child.
Yes.
And the child likes potatoes. Potatoes are right now too hot, they're too whatever. You're going to take a potato, pierce it with your fork.
Yes.
Take it, put it aside for later, for the child, while you eat the rest of the soup. Have you used a kli to do the Melacha of Borer just now?
You told me before. You put me on the spot, and you asked me a very personal question in front of our viewers.
Yes.
Our multitude of viewers. And you asked me whether I eat with my hands.
Right.
And I told you usually not, I eat with a fork. But you told me that the fork was like an extension of my hands.
Right. So the poskim write as follows.
Yes.
Sometimes the Mishnah Berurah says a spoon is not to be used. And sometimes he says you can use a spoon. In Siman Shin Yutes, he contradicts himself.
Right.
All the poskim write. Rav Moshe Feinstein, Shmir Shabbos Kolchasa, the Minchas Yitzchak. It's a universal idea that not every instrument is a Borer instrument.
Right.
Why am I using the fork here to pierce this potato?
It's because you don't want to get your hands dirty, and it's just to access it.
Right. Sometimes, for example, etiquette says you're not going to use your hands. Or it's very, very hot, so I'm not going to use my hands.
Right.
Or it's far off, so I need to reach. All these cases, you're not using the fork as an instrument of Borer. Rather, it's an extension of your hand. It's not your hand proper, but it's an extension of your hand that we'll call Yada Arichta.
Okay.
That's not Borer.
So a sifter obviously is.
Yep.
A fork obviously is not, although you could separate things with it. It's not an instrument of separation.
Correct.
So now you want to talk about ambiguous middle cases, perhaps?
First, I'll talk about this. A peeler.
I'm ready for peeler.
What's the purpose of a peeler?
It peels.
Yes, peels what?
Peels
Yes.
off of food.
Yes. So would you call this a Borer instrument?
I'll tell you, to the extent that peels are not edible, and to the extent that the purpose is to remove I will say it is a instrument of Borer.
I agree. It has a special design to
Yes.
facilitate the Borer activity.
Yes.
That's a kli.
Good.
Let's say you peel something, a carrot perhaps,
Yes.
with a knife.
Most things are not peeled with a knife. They're peeled with a peeler.
Correct.
And therefore the knife would be sort of like a second string peeling instrument, sort of like as a hammer might be a nut cracking instrument to a nut cracker.
Okay.
Do you take SATs with analogies? Remember those days?
I do.
So in other words, a nut cracker would crack nuts,
Yep.
but secondarily you would use a hammer.
Right.
But the hammer, I wouldn't call it a nut cracking instrument.
Right.
Per se.
So the
Similarly,
knife,
you would want to peel with a peeler.
Right.
A knife would be sort of like the second string peeler.
right. So your knife is not really going to be an instrument of Borer.
Right.
And therefore, it's not your classic case of a kli. Even though you probably couldn't peel
Right.
carrot with your fingers.
Right.
But it's not an instrument of Borer. It's an instrument of